Well, the thing about acting for me is, started off as a hip hop artist, and we always would say, keep it real, and a lot of my lyrics was always based on reality. And then later on in my career, I developed a character called Bobby Digital, which to me is my first time acting, even though it wasn't for a camera or anything. But it had me take on another personality. And so I dug it. And Jim Jarmusch gave me a chance to appear in this movie called Ghost Dog. And the audience had responded, like they cheered when they saw me on the screen. That kind of gave me a little boost of confidence. And then after Coffee and Cigarettes, another Jim Jarmusch production, and I'll never forget being in San Francisco watching this film. And first time I came on the screen, I kind of melted in my chair, like gloated. I was nervous. And then people was laughing at my lines, and after the vignette was over, they clapped, and my energy just grew. And since then, I just had this desire to be on film different than a video. Well, this actually started off as a childhood dream, to be honest with you, I saw my first martial art film at the age of 9 years old, and ever since I was addicted to the genre. And every weekend, I would find myself in these old theaters in New York City, run-down theaters, watching triple features. And even as I became into high school, I would cut school, and if you want to know where to find me at, I'm in one of those theaters. And I got arrested by the truant officers. Me and my cousin ODB, we would just cut school and hang out and watch kung fu movies. And I would daydream about being a martial arts star. And I would, and to have a chance to live that dream out is definitely a blessing, but it also was a lot of ambition put behind it. Growing up in New York City during my day, it was just tough, man. And what we learned in school wasn't enough to satisfy my curiosity about life. And oddly, there was a movie called Shaolin 36 Chambers, starring Gordon Liu, that sparked my interest in another culture, another form of history. Sadly, in America, black history ends at slavery. And any other history ends maybe in Rome or Greece, maybe Greek mythology, or what the Romans did, or what the Greeks did. And you don't know that there's a whole other world going on. And not just a world of people, but a world of struggle. The movie 36 Chambers was about a bunch of college students who was being oppressed by a government. And their professor telling them, look, even though they're the government, doesn't mean that they're always right. And these students began to help out the professor. And they got all charged as being rebels, and they lost their families, and the star of the movie was a middle-class guy. His father had a good business, and he used his father's business to help the rebel cause, and they destroyed his home, and he had to flee for his life. And he met a man one day who broke open a box with his hand. And he's like, wow, how do you do that? He said, oh, I learned that from Shaolin. And just from that one word, Shaolin, it stuck in his head. And the movie goes on that when he has nowhere else to run, he flees to Shaolin. And here he learns martial art and philosophy. And it just inspired me, And I started picking up books on Buddhism and books on Eastern philosophy, whether it was talking about the Bhagavad Gita, the Upanishads, the teachings of Buddha, Huning, lamas, and all these different things. I just started studying things. So I had my Bible, which was good, always. But now I had these other things that was happening around the world around the same time. It just gave me more of a world view. And years later, Gordon Liu, the guy who helped spark me, he's in my movie. And he's the one that's teaching philosophy in my movie. And the reason why I did that, because it wasn't in the screenplay. I actually had it secretly written pages on my side that I didn't tell the producers. And I told Gordon that, when I saw your movie when I was a kid, you inspired me. And your inspiration led to the Wu-Tang Clan. My first album was Into the Wu-Tang 36 Chamber, and that inspired millions of kids around the world. I said maybe in this film, another kid will see this and he'll get inspired, and maybe another one of me could come up.